Welcome to Stepping on the Mat podcast, episode 005 with me, Aaron Martinez. Today's guest is a two-time state place winner. In 2020, he became an Iowa high school state champion as a sophomore. And he's a runner-up at 170 pounds as a junior. He's also a folk style national runner-up. He is currently redshirted at the University of Iowa, looking to move into a starting position for the Hawks next season. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Mickey Griffith. Welcome, Mickey.
Thank you.
Well, so we're here. I haven't seen you for a while, so it's good to be able to catch up with you. And this format's even kind of cooler, I think. So you're back on school break. You finished your first year at Iowa.
Yeah.
So now you're back home. So tell me what it's like coming back home after being gone for the whole school year.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I always went to, obviously, a pretty close school because that's what high school is, but being far away from family and friends, and I have friends that go to completely different colleges out of state, some of them even in state, but it's just kind of weird because all of a sudden I have to make new friends, new family kind of with my wrestling team. It's just different experience, and I actually liked it. Some people don't like it, but I did like that little aspect of being away, being more independent. Obviously not fully, right. But yeah.
So is everybody back home? Your sister, your brother?
Well, brother moved in Dubuque. He's living I think he just bought a house, or didn't buy a house, but renting out a place up there, and that's where his longtime home is for the future. He still has to finish school, go to grad school and whatnot to be a physical therapist. But so far he loves it up there, and so he's staying up there. My sister, mom, dad, me, we're all home, so that's nice.
Yeah. So you get to see everybody getting warmed back up to the house. Did you move all your stuff in?
Yeah, I moved all my stuff back in. Obviously not unpacked. That's just the way it is. But
yeah, like I was telling you earlier, my daughter just got back from school. She's like, hey, is it cool if I move back in? It's like, yeah, you don't have to ask me that, right? But yeah, that room, her room is not, these kids' rooms aren't very big. So
yeah.
Even coming back from college, moving her stuff out of the dorm, it just turned into looks like a giant closet now. So
yeah, some of my stuff is spread all throughout the house. Some of it's up in my room, and just never know.
So you're back. You said you're going to be hanging out with some friends this weekend. You plan on doing any training, or is the
obviously injury limits that, but I'm going to be doing physical therapy and lifting, because lifting's always important. And I just got to get into that, but wrestling is a little bit limited right now. And
sure. Do you plan on going back to visit any old places like Pablo or anybody like that, or Coach Roland?
Yeah, it'd be nice to do that over the summer and whatnot, see if I can help out there. But the places that I want to go, I'd obviously want to help coach and wrestle with them a little bit, which just kind of adds a little bit
you
of
just have one club.
Yeah, one club. Teach them a little.
You don't have the full golf set. You got one club.
Yeah. Just kind of stings a little bit there, but I'd love to go back and hang out with those guys, see them, and just coach and help out with that.
Heck yeah. Well, you're welcome at Pinnacle University. Come look at these guys and show them how to wrestle a little bit. They still struggle with it. I don't know what it is, man. I can't get these guys to wrestle very great.
Wrestling's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. So welcome back home. So I guess my first question here is, give the audience here a background, how you got into wrestling, maybe some of your experiences through time.
Yeah. So the way I got into wrestling was actually kind of weird. So you hear all these stories about the people that go Division I and on to the next level. They all start in preschool before they right when they can walk. They start stepping on the mat because they've had family members who've wrestled and all this sort of thing. And I started in second grade, and the reason that I even started, I was a big kid. I was tall, had the stature for playing basketball, and I wanted to play basketball. Well, apparently I missed basketball tryouts my second grade year. So
the only practice you were late to.
Yeah,
what a blessing.
Only time I was late. So I missed basketball tryouts. My dad shows me this video of people wrestling, and I'm like, oh, this looks amazing. And I'm just like, let's do it. I want to do something. I was always an active kid. I played baseball, tried football. That didn't go very far, but always wanted to do something. So I go to, I did go to Sadell. Sadell was my first place I wrestled. So
who was that, the youth program?
Yeah, the youth program there. I don't know. I can't remember the coaches' names, but guarantee my parents would. So I went there, and first practice there, I asked my parents, like right after practice, I'm like, when's the next one?
Right.
So right away I fell in love with it, and that's just kind of even how I got into wrestling. Like,
Well,
I
how'd you choose
missed
Sadell? Was you guys living near that area at the time, or?
Well, that was our closest one, and just heard a lot of good things about it. We had one of my baseball teammates. He went to Sadell for high school and wrestled at Sadell for youth club, and his brother and whatnot have all gone there. So we heard a lot of great things about Sadell and went there and had a lot of fun with that program. But that year, I think they also cut the coaching staff.
Uh-huh.
So right after I went to Super Pee Wee State, so like top of where I can be in second grade and first year wrestling, and I wrestled all the way through the tournament. I lost first round, and I wrestle all the way back, and I make it to the blood rounds, and I win that match. So I placed, and I look at my dad, and I go, I placed.
That's
and
awesome.
The kid on the mat is crying, and I made a kid cry, according to my dad. I don't remember that, but so I placed, and I was just content with that, and I didn't wrestle the next two matches. Essentially, I lost. I think I got pinned. And then the next match, I think I also got pinned. But I was happy with getting 8th place, and I was just content with that.
Yeah.
So, as a first-year wrestler, like...
It's interesting your dad chose wrestling. Like, your dad was a football player.
Yeah.
We played football together at Lincoln. So, that's interesting that he picked wrestling for you and seeing that as something that would be good for you. He must have seen something out of his friends and some other people in his world.
Yeah, I mean, like, I never liked football. So, like, I tried football when I was young, and I just never really liked it. It wasn't my thing.
Well, maybe you could start, since part of your physical therapy should be recovering with throwing. You can have a throwing arm. You can be a quarterback now. You're big enough. That's awesome.
But just one of those things, like, I never liked football. I was the running back. So when you're running back in second grade, you don't throw the ball in second grade.
Right.
They hand it off to you. And I'm going against all these huge kids, like even bigger than me in their offensive or defensive line. And my offensive line isn't that big. We're playing with Lincoln schools.
Right.
So I'm just getting crushed.
Right.
Play after play after play. I come out and I sit down for the first time of the game because I was also playing defense.
Right, playing both ways.
Both ways. And
I know that life.
Oh god. Yeah, not fun, not a fun life there. But I was just getting crushed, and I just remember I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, so you moved into something that you could crush other people in.
Exactly.
That's excellent. So your first year out, you go down to the Super Pee Wee tournament, and that's a fun tournament too. I mean, it's big, and I remember taking my son to one of those the first time he went to Super Pee Wee, and just him being really overwhelmed with a lot of people. So handling your nerves as a young man like that's pretty awesome. So what was the next step for you? So Super Pee Wee, you knew you was in it, and then boom.
So got into Super Pee Wee State, got 8th. I was content with it, but then like building upon that, like I know that's not even a challenge for some people.
Sure.
So the people that I wrestled all year, they've been pinning me. I've been getting beat, and then all of a sudden I get 8th. So like all of a sudden I have this great improvement, and then I have to feed that into next year. So over the off season, I'm playing baseball. I'm not focusing on wrestling. I'm not focusing on any of that. I'm focusing on baseball alone. And I wrestle a year. Same thing happens. I'm not doing super hot. I'm doing okay. I'm getting pinned still. I'm just not wrestling my best matches. And then I get to AAU districts, which is where qualify for state. Top 4 go at the time. I think top 4 go at the time. And there's no wrestle back for 4th. Like if you lose in the backside, like you're done.
Right.
So I make it to that 3rd, 4th place match, and I just give up again. And I'm content with it. And my dad promised me that if I made it to AAU State, I'd get a singlet. Still waiting on that singlet.
We need to get that singlet done. we got some dates coming up, you know.
And then I have how it goes is you have AU districts.
Hold up. So what was you wearing if you wasn't wearing it? Was you wearing
I had a singlet.
Some gym shorts? Because, that was kind of my plan when I was a kid. Once I started getting good, too, because I was that kid that kind of, had to go through the struggle to, have some progress. And I remember I was like, when I got good, I was like, I should probably like wear some like basketball shorts because everybody thinks that guy sucks, and they just come out there and terrorize somebody in some like jean shorts or something.
No, I had a singlet. It was just like a green one because of Sadell and whatnot. So had a singlet, and my dad just promised me, I think it was if I remember correctly, it was a gladiator singlet.
Nice.
So it just looked like a gladiator, and I was so obsessed with that. Loved it. Never got it. But then I go to AAU State, so it's you have districts, and then in between that...
Was it in Cedar Rapids? That was...
The districts or state?
The state.
State was in Wells Fargo. For AAU
Okay.
Kids, State is in Wells Fargo as well. So what happens is you have AAU State, high school, or AAU districts, high school state, AAU State. So I have this 2-week period where I'm just doing nothing.
Right.
Because some of these clubs are shutting down because they don't have kids that qualify. They're just taking it off. And so I went to Purcell's this time and loved it there. That's a great coach, Anthony Purcelli.
Yeah, I love Anthony. Big shout out to Anthony Purcelli. We'll have him on the show later on this year.
Yeah, he's great. Love that guy. Great coach. Wish I still kept in contact with him, but
I'll make sure that happens. I'll make sure you guys rekindle that connection.
Yeah, that'd be great. But so I was training out of there, and then I'm just content with making it to state because, like I said, I got my singlet apparently.
Yeah, gladiator time.
Yeah. And then I go to state and I go 0-2. So now I'm met 2 of my goals. I've placed at state as a second grader first year, and then I've made it to state. And I wasn't happy with going 0-2, but at the same time I was pretty happy. Like that was my goal at the beginning of the season, make it to state.
Yeah. So,
and then same thing happens in the off season. I'm playing baseball, kind of love baseball. Baseball is my thing. Like it was just like my calming thing. Like
wrestling is not calm.
No, wrestling's not calm at all. So the entire off season, I'm just playing baseball. I'm focused on baseball. Love my teammates in baseball. Don't really care about wrestling. Wrestling's just kind of one of those things at this time. But I go to next season, and I about did the same thing. Like I'm doing better. Like I'm at the top of my age group at this time because it's 3rd, 4th grade. So I'm in 4th grade now, and I'm doing pretty well. And then make it to get to districts, make it to state, and then I make it to the blood rounds. So 1 round short. And I've never been to a national tournament, never been to anything like that. Like I'm only comparing myself to these kids inside of the state of Iowa, which is it's good, but there are kids from other states that are hammers.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing that. So I'm just going about my life still. But I'm starting to realize now, like, I love wrestling. Like, this is going to be my thing. Like, this is where I'm starting to realize it. Because, like, you can have success in baseball, but how much success can you really have without a team? Right. So growing up on a team that does decently well, but is never winning state, they're not contending for a state title every single year.
Yeah, and there's an aspect of that you don't really have control over it. Yeah. You know, maybe your teammate doesn't play well that day.
Exactly.
Maybe the coach is fired up and he's like losing the traction of the team, you know? Maybe there's not a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Wrestling is individual.
Yeah, I mean, like, so, like, I realized that I can control my own destiny, essentially. And that's something that I started liking around that 5th, 6th grade year. So all of a sudden I'm being more and more independent because now I don't rely on somebody. I don't rely on my first baseman to catch every single throw that I throw at them. I'm not relying on my catcher to catch every ball that I'm pitching to him. Like I'm not relying on that.
Yeah.
So I start liking that aspect, and all of a sudden I'm getting a lot better at wrestling. 5th grade, same thing happens. Losing blood rounds. And I don't know how to feel. Like I've never made it to the second day of state, and I'm in 5th grade.
Yeah.
6th grade comes around, and
now you still wrestling with the Sadell team, or have you moved on to a different team by 6th grade?
I'm still wrestling with Purcelli. So third grade. Yeah, 3rd grade I moved to Purcelli, and I think I wrestled with Purcelli for 2 years. So that's 3rd and 4th grade year. And 5th grade year, I get into Viking Wrestling Club at Grandview. Love those coaches. Those coaches were great. Love B. Wright. He moved to Indiana. Shout out to him. Like, he pushed me. He was the reason that I got so good at wrestling. All the people in there, there's nobody my size. So I'm wrestling all these high school kids while I'm in 5th, 6th grade. I'm loving it. And so these guys are pushing me. I have college kids coming in, and they're coaching me. So
right,
like,
and they're seeing your potential too. They're like, oh, let's get this kid good.
Yeah, so like I'm talking to all these guys. I'm talking to Ty Noller. I'm talking to B. Wright. I'm talking to people who have reached the goals that I wanted to reach at the time. And so all these guys are pushing me. They're pushing me. And I'm getting better and better and better, and I can see that I'm getting better. But 5th grade year was a heartbreak because it was the same result, and I was working my ass off.
Right.
And all these people, like, they're not disappointed in me, but I'm disappointed in myself because I realize, like, they've been pushing me. Like, I want to get good at this. And then don't change anything in the off season. I'm still playing baseball because I like baseball.
Right.
Like, don't go one way too early is what people have always told me, like, you're going to burn out. And so nothing's happening. I'm just playing baseball. And I think I wrestled. No, I didn't. 7th grade year was the first year. But so 6th grade comes around. 5th grade I lose in the boat around. 6th grade comes around, and I finally break through. And same thing happens as Super Pee Wee State. I'm content. I've made it to the second day. I've placed. I've met my goal of the year. I wasn't planning on being a state champ. I was planning on placing. So I get there, and I'm happy with it. But the thing is, this time was different. This time I lose that first match, and I come back, and I'm like, I hate this. I hate losing. And I win that next match. And it was a grinder.
Right.
But it sucked. Like, it was against one of my best friends at the time too.
Interesting.
So
I've had that happen before. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a good feeling, you know.
It's not.
Especially when, like, was you the winner of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, like, yeah, for his, it's not that great.
Yeah. So that match happened. I won districts that year too. So then after state, I had a district dual tournament. My team won. That was great. Which was the first kind of sense of, like, team aspect in wrestling too. Like, that was the first time I was on a dual team. So that was pretty cool, seeing, like, a winning team right away. Like, that's my first experience, and we're winning. So that's also something that I really loved. Like, we could all get together and we would win because we were good. So go through that, and then don't change up my clubs. Again, I'm still at VWC. No coach changes, nothing. And this year I'm going to national tournaments. I go to, I went to so many tournaments. I think I went to Tulsa this year. I went to Winter Nationals in Omaha. Like, I was just traveling, and I loved it.
And who was you traveling with? Was your dad taking you, or
Yeah.
was you going with the team? Or?
My dad was taking me. My dad was taking me the entire way, and it was awesome. Like, traveling with my dad and being able to be with him, because he was taking time so that I could get better. Like, he was taking time away from work so that I could enjoy this experience and see what this can become. And I'm going to national tournaments, and I'm going 0-2. I go to Tulsa, and I go 0-2. Like, the biggest national tournament in the country. Like, if you're good, like, you're going to do good at this tournament. Like,
right.
You're coming home with an eagle. That's the big prize.
That's the big trophy.
Yeah, you want to come home with an eagle. And so I go down to Tulsa, and I go 0-2, and it's such a huge disappointment. But I stick around for the entire tournament. And I'm sitting there with my team. I think I went to Pablo this time now. So switched around, and I'm just with my team, and I'm hanging out. And Pablo, he's showing me around, and he's like, look at this match. Like, watch this one. So I'm watching this, and I'm just like, these kids are so good. Like, I wish I could be that good. And so it sucks sitting back and watching people, because you want to be out there. You want to be the guy that people are watching. And So we watched the whole tournament. We watched the finals. Like, we're staying there until the finals, which are late at night, 2-day tournament, late at night. These kids are going at it, and they're good, like really good. I like some of these kids. Like, I think Joey Cruz was there, who's a pretty big name out of high school now, and so I'm seeing all these kids, and I'm like, I want to be this good. So every time I go back, I'm training hard. Like, I want to be like these kids. And then go to districts my 7th grade year, and I make it pretty far. I think I made it to the quarters or round of 16, and I lose. I lose on the front side after coming back from getting 7th place at state the year before, being the district champ, and I lose. And it's heartbreaking to lose on the front side, but you got to come back a little bit. And so I come back and I lose 2 rounds prior to even making the 3rd place match, which is what you need to make. Or you need to make the round before at this time, because there might be a true 4th. So I lose before that, so I'm out. I don't qualify for state my 7th grade year. And that was tough. Like, every single year I've made it to state, I've placed at state some years. Like, I was doing really good, but then I went to all these national tournaments. I wasn't doing good. Like, I still feel that I was good at wrestling, but I wasn't doing good compared to these guys. So don't change anything during the summer. I think I wrestled 1 or 2 freestyle tournaments, which was...
I think that's when I met you.
Yeah.
I think that's when I first seen you wrestle, was at a freestyle tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had 0 success at any freestyle tournament I went to, because I don't know why, but I didn't know what freestyle wrestling was. I wasn't going to practices, and I was just showing up.
Right, and your brother was competing alongside you at that time as well.
Yeah, he was in high school at that time competing. So we were kind of like connected together. Like, we would always go to the same place. We trained together, and he's doing decently well at some of these tournaments, and I'm not doing good at all. I'm just kind of going through the motions, essentially, just getting back on the mat, staying on the mat, so I can get that little bit of feel during the summer. And that's just, like, it wasn't... I think I got teched twice in the first tournament by the same dude in Greco. Like, he just launched me. And then comes freestyle, and I don't do good. I go 0-2 again. I was at the Lincoln tournament too, so, like, this is where I'm going. Like,
right,
because I've been training a little bit with Lincoln now for just a little bit of time, because that's where I was.
That was a big tournament, though. I remember that being a lot of people at that tournament.
Yeah, there was a lot of people there, but, like, compared to, like, AAU State, I was like, oh, this thing's small, it's nothing, but it was something, obviously. But I'm still playing baseball, loving baseball, and then 8th grade comes around and something just clicks, and I fell in love with wrestling instantly. Where I'd go to some of these tournaments that I've been talking about, and I'd be placing pretty well. I'd be winning a lot of these local tournaments, and then going to national tournaments and placing and doing pretty well. So that's when I kind of got my first bit of success in wrestling, where I'd have success at the local tournaments and at some national tournaments where I'd come home with a medal. And I remember, like, having just, like, that little bit of success. Like, that was awesome. And so districts rolls around again, and I'm nervous because didn't go my way last year. Some of the kids are still back, and I think I win districts again. I don't remember exactly, but I think I win districts again finally. So win districts, move on to state, and I'm looking at my bracket, and I'm like, there's a good shot that I win this. So I go, and I'm on the front side after day 1. So I'm in the semis. I've gotten top 6 already.
Heck yeah.
So that's a huge improvement already from not making it to state to being top 6 after day 1. And it's awesome. And then that semifinal bout comes around, and I'm up and I'm ready and I'm loose, feeling good. And I wrestle that match, and I get Kelly'd 3 times. So I'm in a front headlock, and guy just knee picks me essentially 3 times in one match. Didn't learn from the first time. Should have, but hindsight's always 20/20.
Sometimes you just can't stop it.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't stop it. But like lose that match, and I'm just devastated. Like I felt like I could win that match. I felt like I could win the whole tournament. But all of a sudden, I'm on the backside again. Like familiar territory, but not good feeling. And in that Conti semis match, I'm wrestling somebody who I shouldn't beat.
Right.
And I beat him. And I make it to the 3rd place match. And the entire year, I've gone to these tournaments, and I was still with Ibasa, and I had championship singlets. So I've never worn one of these championship singlets. They're gold instead of black, and I love them. But I haven't gotten to wear one because I haven't been in a big tournament that I've been in the finals for. So I look at Pablo, and I'm like, I want to wear this singlet. He goes, go ahead, go for it. So I wear the singlet in the match, and yet again, somebody I shouldn't beat, but end up edging him out, and great feeling getting 3rd place my 8th grade year. So I get 3rd place there, and I know like this is gonna be fun, like it's gonna be good. I quit baseball that summer. I go straight to wrestling.
I've heard like a lot of different I talk to a lot of young people, so this similarity of like they make a choice at some point to bail the other sport, and then focus on what they're really passionate about. So
yeah, I mean, like, so I was still training with Ibasa, and Paulo was taking care of me. Like, he's teaching me how to wrestle freestyle. He's teaching me all these sort of things, and I think this year I went to Vegas, 8th grade, and I wrestled both freestyle and Greco. So I only had to weigh in. I think I only had to weigh in one time, and I was wrestling 145. I've been going to some local tournaments, doing well, getting first or second, and I go to Vegas, and I'm wrestling these guys. And first match I have in Vegas is against somebody really good, and I know that they're good, and they just blow me out of the water, lose tech instantly. And then next match comes, still in Greco, and I just lose again, like teched again.
2 in, 2 out.
Yeah. So I've wrestled 2 matches in a national tournament that I thought I was going to do good at. Like, I just got in 3rd at state in Iowa, but all these kids, like, they're good.
Right.
And so I'm in Vegas for freestyle again. So same tournament, essentially, and I wrestle the person who ended up winning the bracket first round. Like, obviously I didn't win that one because he won the bracket. And then I turn around and I wrestle another guy from Iowa who I've wrestled a few times. He's in high school. And I beat him. Very close match. And then the next match, blown out of the water again. I don't think I got teched. I think I'm at the distance, but it was not a good match for me. So I'm still not having the national success that I want to have. And it was hard because of that. So I'm training throughout the entire summer. I think I ended up going to play baseball for a tournament because the team that I was on, like, a few of the guys were leaving and weren't going to be able to make a tournament or something. So I was just like, oh, screw it, I'll come back.
What position did you play in baseball?
Anywhere. So growing up,
as you got older, around this time frame when you went to the Vegas tournament.
So growing up, I played right field. I was just that kid that played right field. But going up and like learning how to play baseball a little bit more, I was kind of a utility player, but I'd play mostly infield. I'd play a great spot that I loved was third base and shortstop, like 2 of the captains of the team right there. But if I needed to, I was a great catcher. I'd love playing catcher. Like, people hate on playing catcher. Like,
but you could wear all the cool gear.
Yeah, there's no reason. So I was playing catcher and I was pitching sometimes. So like I was just wherever I needed to be, I'd be. And so I was playing, I think I played shortstop or third that entire tournament. I think I pitched 1 or 2 times. But I loved it.
But now you gave it up.
But I gave it up, and I kind of just stay committed to that, because that's when I want to do something, I just turn full force to it.
Now, do you find that, like, since you looking back at it, that you set baseball aside, that your progress increased?
Yeah. So like some people who have success in AAU and youth, some coaches say that tournament's harder than high school state, which I don't think so. But you have these kids that are doing really good in AAU, and all of a sudden they don't turn around in high school.
Sure. Or they don't even wrestle in high school.
Yeah.
Seen those guys as well.
Yeah, some of those guys burn out because they've been pushed so much and they're having all this success at the youth level, but they can't transfer it to high school or even collegiate.
Sure. Let's talk about that for a second, like burnout, because we've both seen it, you know, from a coaching standpoint, an athlete standpoint, an audience perspective, that like some of those kids that are just nasty killers when they're young, where'd they go? I mean, what happened to that kid that was there, you know?
Yeah. So like burnout is a very real thing, and I've been learning that more and more now. Like we had one of our recruits coming in for this next year, and he doesn't sign with us, and instead he's going to be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, respect to him.
Respect.
Like, complete respect to him. And he just said that one day he woke up and he just didn't want to do it. And like, is it like he's been pushed so much and all of a sudden you don't want to do it? Like, that's a real thing, and it's something that like some athletes, like, we don't want to happen. Like, we love the sport, but sometimes you can't control it.
Well, if he becomes a SEAL, or goes through the process to become a SEAL, he'll be challenged by that again. Yeah. But there won't be. It'll be a different type of push, and we'll see if that helps shift him into a different direction.
I mean, like, I feel like, so if I go away from wrestling, there's obviously going to be something that I want to replace that. Yeah. And I feel like he found something that could replace that, and like that's a good thing, because
for sure,
because when you're an athlete, like, you train really hard, especially as a wrestler. Like, you train physically, you train mentally. Like, it's a rough thing, and all of a sudden you can't just drop that. Like, that is a part of you.
And he won't. Like, it'll always be there. That skill will always be there, whether he picks up. I mean, a lot of SEALs train in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You know, like Jocko and all these guys that do it. Like, and that's pretty much, I mean, it's kind of a standard. You have to train jiu-jitsu. You have to train martial arts, right? So maybe he'll find passions in that, or he'll cycle back through. And but if not, you know, being a SEAL is pretty, it's the elite. Yeah. So,
but burnout's very real. I kind of fear it. I don't want it to happen.
So let's, I want to shift focus here. Not that we ended off with your 8th grade year. I want to save some of the high school stuff for a little bit later in our conversation. But I do want to get right to, I think, a really strong point of interest. I'm sure that people listening here and knowing that you're on this podcast here, is they want to know what it's like to be in the Iowa wrestling room.
Yeah. Well, that kind of feeds off of a little bit of high school, like, mentally. Like,
I mean, I know there's tons of talent in there. Yeah. So going from wrestling at Lincoln with Coach Rowland, and, you know, moving into, you know, with the Brands Brothers and Morningstar and all these other big names with big talent in the room.
Yeah. So, like, going into that room, it's kind of crazy, because most of those guys in there, like, they've accomplished what I've wanted to accomplish. Right. Like, both the Brands Brothers, like, they've accomplished what I want to accomplish. They've been at the world level. They've been NCAA champs. Like, it's what I want to do. And so going into that room, it's not terrifying to me.
Tell me about your first day of practice. That's what I want to know.
First day of practice was actually, so I got up to Iowa City, and they expect you to train. Like, it's not required. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
They can't require that yet. So my first practice was actually without a coach. So I go up there and I kind of...
So is it like an open mat?
Yeah, open mat. We kind of have like a time that most upperclassmen and whatnot go in. So all of us freshmen hear about this, and we go in and we grab each other and we're wrestling each other, and we're watching these other guys wrestle, and like they're going hard. So it's just weird because in high school, like you don't go as hard as you do in college.
Right.
Seasons longer in college too. So you go in there and it's a hard practice.
Well,
like,
you didn't really have anybody to really push you, did you, in your practice room in high school?
No, but
I mean, when I came in to wrestle with you, I was looking around the room like, hey, nobody's going to partner with this dude except for me. So
no, but I went to Big Game at the time, and
Yeah.
I was wrestling guys like Wyatt Volker, Tate Noctiborin, Hunter Garvin, Graham Grambrel, like all these guys. Like Dylan even wrestled me. We had Skylar St. John in there, someone who just graduated from Iowa State. Like we had all these guys coming in, and they were wrestling us, and they were wrestling us top guys. And so we're all pushing each other. So like that's where I'm getting every push.
Right.
So
you're back in the open mat. Things are you got these guys you're squaring up with.
So I'm getting with these guys, and they're good too. Like these guys are pushing me just as much as Tate, Wyatt, and all those guys. So they're all pushing me. I'm pushing myself as much as I can, and like it's not going my way again. So growing up, practice rooms weren't always my best friend. Like I'd get my butt kicked. I went first practice at Pablo. I wrestled Kyle Viscalia. He obviously turned out really great in high school and college. Like great wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first practice at Pablo, and I was late for that practice too. So
you deserved it.
So I deserved it. But yeah, hard to admit that. But
that would have
I
been me
did
over the corner,
it.
like sick him on him. Saying he's late.
Yeah, no. So wrestled him my first practice. That was pretty rough, but it was nothing like being in the Iowa wrestling room where these guys are hammering on you and you're wrestling the top guys in the country and some of the top guys in the world even. So come first, like actual practice, and practice isn't even that bad. Like I can't remember what we did, but I was in shape again because I'd been wrestling throughout August, September, and then practice finally starts in October around my birthday. And
October 15th, big shout out.
yeah. So get around there, and season starts, and it's not as hard as I thought it would be. Like people make it out to be this crazy hard spectacle thing. Like you've just got to get mentally ready. Like all these things are, it's mental. Mm-hmm. So you walk into that room, and it's not the fact that every single one of these guys can just beat me up. Like it's the fact that like you walk into the room and you want to be the guy that's beating other people up. Like it's just a mentality switch.
Right.
So I get into that room first day of practice, I'm wrestling my teammate, and things are going my way. And we get into some weird positions, and I can ask questions. I ask questions to coaches all the time. Like it's not like I've always been taught, like if you have a question, ask it.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask it, and that goes in the Iowa wrestling room too. Like it's a normal practice room.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about this, because a lot of things become projection. You know, we get short glimpses when the Brands brothers are being interviewed, or they show the Iowa practice room. So, yeah, so it's not in our projection over here. It's actually something much more unique and connected.
I mean, yeah, it's not like this year we were number 2 in the country. So, like, obviously it's going to be different than some other schools. Like, we're doing something different.
Right.
But, like, you get into these practices, and they're normal practices for me. Like, so Dylan, who ran Big Game, he went to Iowa, too. So, like, these practices, like, they feel similar to me.
Yeah, very similar to it, right.
Like, they're not these long, drawn-out 3.5, 4-hour practices. Like, they are normal practices that are just tough because the guys in there are tough.
Yeah, give us a glimpse, like let's look at like mid-season. You're in mid-season and like your typical practice consists of what?
That depends on the day. So
Wednesday.
Wednesday's our off day kind of. So but like a normal day, normal practice is kind of we get into it, we get warming up, and some guys are on the bikes, some guys are jogging, they're stretching out, just normal what you do in kind of like high school wrestling, even middle school for some people. But that part's normal. It might be a little bit more intense because you're in an intense room and you're blowing your lungs out essentially. Like you want to get tired right away, and you got to get that sweat rolling, all that. So you're doing more sprints maybe. Like that's about it. And then we get a little bit of time to stretch out fully, and then we're right into drilling, and we're just working on stretching each other out sometimes when we're drilling. But it's nothing out of the ordinary. So we're just drilling, we're drilling. Tom and Terry step in, or even Morningstar. One of those guys steps in, and they show us a technique, and we go out, we drill it, come back, show us another one, go out, drill it, and we go get a drink. Like we're constantly like drinking water. Like water's good. Like it keeps you
hydrate before you dehydrate.
Yeah, it keeps you going. Like it gives you a little bit of energy. So we have that water in there that's just keeping us going a little bit. And like everybody, you don't focus on cutting weight in practice. That's something that none of us do. We don't just sit there and we're worried about our weight. We're worried about wrestling. We wrestle. That's what we came to college to do. We wrestle. So we're wrestling and we're getting water breaks. We're getting ready to go live, and we're doing executions. We're getting our heart rate up. We're spiking. That's what we call it. We just spike. So we're in there, and then we go live, and it's just normal life. It's like high school, except the people in there.
Do you have a partner that you work with a lot? That's kind of your main training partner?
Oh.
Or you guys get flipped a lot in there?
Everybody wrestles everybody around your weight.
Everybody.
So I've wrestled people at 74, and I wrestled people at heavyweight. Like that's kind of my range as being an 84 pounder, big 84 pounder. So
yeah, you're looking big right now. Jeez.
Yeah. So I wrestle those guys there, and that's how it is. Like you don't have one specific partner that you just go with. Like maybe some of these top guys, like you have people that are like, oh yeah, I want to go with this guy today, and you respect that.
Right.
But you don't have, like, there's not one specific guy that I go with. I like going with everybody.
Now, have you gotten close to anybody that on the team that's like your boy? Anybody?
I mean, everybody. They're all my brothers.
Good.
Like that's the way that team is. Like we're brothers. Like there's nothing that's gonna take us apart. There's nothing that's gonna like we're in it together. We are brothers. Yeah,
that's a comparison that a couple of the guests on the shows have asked me about. Like we make these phrases like going to war, right? Like, and they like, oh, I don't mean any disrespect to being like the military. I said no, but that's the part about the military that makes like the veteran community so strong is that brotherhood, you know, and you have that like. You do everything together. You train together. You work together. You're there during emotional time. You're there to help build each other up. You know, and that camaraderie makes that brotherhood just tight. You know, it's a band of brothers.
I mean, like, so we obviously didn't finish the season that we wanted to. We got second. So we're all together. We don't even have a national champ this year, but we're all together and we're all there through this and that. And like, there's no off to it. Like if somebody needs us there, like we're going to be there.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. Like we are brothers.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about, what about the coaching adjustment? Did you see like, between, you know, going from high school with Coach Rowland into the Brands Brothers, did you see some similarities, and what were the differences?
There weren't a lot of differences actually. Like they're there to push you, and if you need something, like they're still coaches. They're still people. Like, they will help you. Like, there's not a lot of differences. Like, it's a lot of similar things to, say, Coach Rowland as well. Like, he's been there, he's pushed me, he's just like
supported you,
yeah,
loved on you.
Like, there's not a lot of differences.
Good.
So it wasn't that much of a change for me. Like, only change was being where I was.
Yeah, just campus life and
yeah,
getting signed up and
I've always always felt at home, like, when it comes to where the wrestling room is. Like,
yeah, for sure. If there's a mat, it's like home, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, going from Pablo to Big Game and Big Game to Lincoln and Lincoln to Iowa, like, there's a mat, it's home.
Yeah, you can lay down and feel comfortable there, for sure.
No laying down.
So you're not on your back at least, unless you're freestyle and you're bellying out, right?
Yeah.
So we got, you're finished with your first official year in college, and now you're going to be the sophomore. So let's talk a little bit before we move into your season. Let's talk about the upcoming recruiting class. Do you know much about the upcoming recruiting class?
I mean, a little bit. I grew up with some of these guys a little bit because most of them are from Iowa again. Like, last 2 years we've had, I can't even count on one hand, maybe even two, how many kids we've had from Iowa. So we have all these kids coming in, and it feels just like, so during freestyle season, like, the entire state of Iowa gets together. That's how it is.
Yeah.
So that's just how it feels now. Like, we're all together, and there's not people that are, like, singled out, and, like, we're all together, and I think they understand that.
That's awesome. So, yeah, I think the media and people like to put pressure on people, right? And the last name we were talking about. But we got, like, Ryder Block, we got Keeter, we got who else is in that class?
Got
Gabe Arnold. He just won.
He just won U20. U20 U.S. Open, and that was a really good bracket.
Yeah, so. You were there, so maybe we should that's a good segue from Gabe Arnold's U20 at the U.S. Open. Tell me your experience going down there and seeing that.
I mean, I wasn't there to wrestle, but I was sitting at the dorm room and watching all of my teammates. So I'm just doing my best to watch every single teammate that I have, incoming teammates this year. So we have people who are competing at the senior level who are still eligible for, like, U23. So they're going down to Geneva, Ohio in June to wrestle for the U23 title so they can be on the U23 team because they didn't make it in the senior division.
Right.
So we have all these guys doing that. And we also have people doing really well. We have people just, like, kind of just going crazy, essentially. But it's an amazing thing to watch. And you see guys who are getting to their, like, they're getting up there and they're doing well and all that stuff. So, like, you just like seeing it, and you're seeing their hard work pay off.
Yeah.
So, because some of us freshmen this year, like, we only wrestled one tournament. Some of us. I was lucky enough to wrestle two, but.
And that was the Soldier Salute, and
I went to Luther.
Yeah.
Luther, and then I went to Soldier Salute. But some of us only wrestled one tournament the whole year, so, like, they don't get a bunch of time out there and wrestling live. Like, live in the room is different than live out there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah. So you have that, and you're seeing their hard work pay off, and me being a little bit sidelined, like, I'm seeing all these guys put in the work. Like, I'm over there on the bike and I'm working still, but these guys they're going at it. They're working. They're going hard. Like, I wish that I could be out there wrestling with them, and I'm seeing all their hard work pay off, and it's kind of just, it's awesome.
Now, which guys on your team competed at the U.S. Open?
Oh, we had a lot. We had a lot from HWC and Titan Mercury. Like we had
Now, what's Titan Mercury? I know, obviously, you got the HWC shirt on right there, the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. But what's this other one you were saying?
Titan Mercury is kind of, I don't even know exactly, but it's like they help out a lot of wrestlers. They sponsor a lot of wrestlers so that they're able to come and they're able to.
Now, is that a mix? Is that just mainly Iowa guys, or is that a mix with everybody?
Mix with everybody in the entire country. Like you have guys from, I think some of the guys from Penn State were even under Titan Mercury Wrestling Club. So like they sponsor these guys and they
That's awesome.
let them go out and wrestle because like wrestling's like no other sport. Like there's not a lot of money in wrestling. So
yeah, that's another conversation we'll have here after a little bit about just like, it's the future, right?
Yeah.
The future once you're past college and it's like, where do I go with this thing? Money always steps in at some point. So, so what's a couple highlights from the U.S. Open that you remember that was like big for you emotionally or big for you, like just on something that happened on the mat that was pretty cool to see?
I mean, so we have obviously like our incoming recruit, Gabe Arnold, like he wins it. And now he's ranked number 1 in the country at 170 pounds, 7th in the nation. Like that was great. Seeing that was amazing because I'm always cheering for these guys' success because like they're still my brothers. They're coming in and they're my brothers. Like they know that.
And the talent just increases too, the skill and the talent.
And he's another training partner for me. Like I'm going to get better. He's going to get better.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal. But like there's not one particular moment. Like, I mean, that one was a great moment because he won it. Like, hats off to him and whatnot. But like, there's not one particular moment. Like, I loved watching every single one of my teammates wrestle and like just seeing what they can do. Like, I came back for a little bit and I wrestled, and wrestling these guys, like, they're tough, and seeing them show it, like, it's amazing. Like, there's not one specific moment at all. Just watching it and like see it all come to kind of fruition.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the magic, man.
Yeah. Hard work pays off. So
hard work pays off for sure. So you were obviously injured in your last competition. I just seen that the other day, so I was wondering if he's gonna have a cast on or something when he comes in, because you don't get the result on the video. I could have just texted you, but I wanted to see for sure myself with my own eyes. So you have this brace on your arm.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about your would have been your senior year, you got injured in high school, and it's the same as Tad. The same thing happened to him, and we got these parallel stories that are happening between you and your brother. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But so tell us a little bit about what's going on with your arm and how long it's going to take for that before we see you on the mat again.
Well, got surgery, sadly. We were praying that it would heal without surgery, because it wasn't a full tear, but tore my UCL a little bit during a wrestling match, and I've been working since January to just get it better. Like, since I didn't dislocate it, I didn't do anything horrible to it. Like, it should have healed, but I came back on the mat and it didn't feel good. So I talked to my athletic trainers, I talked to surgeons, I talked to doctors, like all these guys, and they're right by my side the entire time. They're saying, what's best for you? They're asking me what I want, rather than, hey, you're going to go under, you're going to get surgery. Like, they're not forcing it upon me.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm like, I want to get surgery. Like, I want this thing to be fixed.
Yeah.
So got surgery, and the recovery's long. Like, I could be out all of next year. I could be back before.
So how's that going to work?
Season.
So you're redshirted. You redshirted this year as a freshman. So how does that work with an injury like that? If you decide to take this next season off?
So obviously I'll still be on the team, but I'd take a medical hardship year if I don't compete at all. But like, if I'm back before the season even starts, like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what's going on with it. I could take a medical hardship. I could just go on with my life and let it happen. Like,
Sure.
like sometimes there could only be 5 years for me in wrestling because of my red shirt, but now it's 6.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you don't know exactly.
So who's in that lineup with you right now? So your plan, everything goes well, is to wrestle
184, yeah.
184. So what would who's in that lineup with you for your team?
Whoever wants to be there.
Whoever wants to be there.
Like, there's not a set guy. I mean, obviously we have guys there, but there's not one set guy that's going to start 184.
So speaking of news, NCAA final or NCAAs.
Yep.
Where was you at during this? Did you get to view it, watch it?
I went to Tulsa. I wasn't like kind of backstage, so to say, but I was up, I was watching it.
How was that energy in there?
It was crazy. So, like, on TV is completely different than being in person. I've been in person a few times, but being on a team is so much different than just being like a fan. So I'm there and I'm cheering for all of our guys, and like all of us were talking and we're like, oh, what's going on here? What's going on there? What's going on there? Like, we're still paying attention to these other matches.
Yeah.
But like our guys, when they're wrestling, like our focus is laser focused on that one mat. And if they're wrestling at the same time, like we don't know where to watch.
Right. It's like watching a tennis match.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like that as a coach sometime during tournaments. I feel like I'm just like ping ponging all over the place.
Yeah, it sucks sometimes. Like there was no relaxing there because we qualified 10 guys, so they're always wrestling. Like, we have somebody on the mat almost all the time. So it was a crazy experience, like even just being in that fan atmosphere. So we have people who are winning, like they're going off. Like, we just have people who they aren't doing what they hoped.
Right.
What they worked for all year. And
well, we all know about that.
Yeah, I mean that happens to everybody. It's not just a one person thing, and so we have all this happen, and like it's a lot of emotion, and I think even being on the mat is different than watching it from a fan's perspective. So when you're on the mat, you don't necessarily hear all the fans, but when you're there and you're kind of being that fan,
you feel it.
And it's just a different experience.
For sure. So give me two of your favorite highlights from the NCAAs. It can be Hawkeye related. It can be non-Hawkeye related.
I mean, being there.
Being there. That
was just a highlight itself because I wasn't planning on going, but then last second I'm going.
Yeah.
And so loved that. That was a fun experience, just like figuring things out on the fly and not knowing what's next exactly. So I go down there, and that was just a highlight itself. And just honestly, it was just being around everybody. So, like, it was non-wrestling related entirely were some of the highlights because I'm with these people, and they're with me, and just being together. And it was genuinely like a family. Like, I didn't have anything planned out, and I'm just figuring it out on the fly. And they're like, yeah, just come do this with us. So
that's awesome. Did your dad, your parents come down and join?
None of my family went.
Just your brothers.
Yep, just me and my brothers.
That's awesome. So obviously the big deal at the NCAAs was the Spencer Lee loss, right? And I know we already talked earlier. You're not going to speak for Spencer, but maybe just kind of like highlight like your personal feelings about not what happened after, but just the match itself.
I mean,
because I know in that arena, it probably just was like, I know I talked to somebody that went there and they were just like, the energy was just sucked out and it was so strange afterwards. But like personally, where your guys, where you're coming from.
I mean, the guys that were up and watching with me, like we didn't know what happened at all. But like, I think he even said this, like, it's another match. Like,
Yeah.
it happened. Like, there's nothing that he can do to go back and fix that. But like, that's kind of how I took it as well. So just like getting closer to him and whatnot, and like the energy was just sucked out of there.
Yeah.
like,
But that's what we all. That's for
Yeah.
fans. That's what they live for. You know,
Yeah.
they live for the ups, and we experience the downs with them too. All of us were hurt to see
Yeah.
him not be able to get that, but having him speak on it later on and just put in a reality for us that are fans that are not there on the mat is like, it's another match. I lost. Like, let's go forward with it.
Yeah.
So, but great NCAA finals, just to watch the finals as well. Is there any particular match in the finals that you just remember just feeling the crowd's energy? And
It's got to be Yanni's fourth. Like, seeing that in person was just, it's crazy. Like, that guy's dreams did come true
for sure,
and
man.
the entire arena is standing ovation for Yanni there. So that's got to be one of the, it's a good memory and something that I obviously strive for.
Yeah,
so.
Man. Your whole life you've been trying to strive for that, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
So we'll get off wrestling for a second. So you're at the University of Iowa, your freshman year, you're an art major. So it's something that me and you share in common, right?
Yep.
Like I said, we got a couple things in common. We're both October babies.
Yep.
You have the same birth date and birth year as my daughter.
Yep.
And you're an art major. So you're already my bud.
Yeah.
So like, what do you like? Let's talk about art for a little. So you said you want to like ceramics is you found a kind of a passion and love for that.
Yeah. So, senior year, I kind of was just filling my schedule a little bit in high school, and I was recommended to take a ceramics course. So I took that ceramics course. I was just first year, didn't really know anything. Had a few people tell me about it, tell me to take it, and I kind of fell in love with it.
Now dive us into the class a little bit. So like when we say ceramics, we always think of like the little cup that the kid brings home in second grade.
Yeah.
We're obviously evolved past that, right?
So like the ceramics that I'm talking about, like I'm making vases, I'm making things that are like they're usable. Like I'm making bowls, I'm making mugs, I'm making other things, and it's an awesome class because I'm getting that hands-on experience for doing something artsy. And I was like, growing up, I didn't think of myself as an artist.
But was you was creative? Was you a creative kid? And do you like to draw a lot?
I don't draw. I hate drawing. Can't
but
draw.
You like working with your hands.
Love working with my hands. So like getting with ceramics, it kind of connects to wrestling a little bit because.
Sure.
Like, I just noticed, like, a little bit of similarities. Like, when you're on the wheel and you're throwing and you're making something, like, in wrestling, you're always taught, like, keep your elbows in, like, use your core.
Right.
And use your hips, bring your hips to the party. And that's kind of similar to ceramics. Like, you're bent down over the clay and you're personal and you're there and you have to use...
And you have to use form.
Yeah. You just have to, like, you have to be gentle. You have to be... At the same time, you have to be very precise. You have to use you can use some of your body weight behind it to be able to do certain things. And it's one of those things that I connected to wrestling. And it was an instant connection. And throughout the year, I was just getting in there as much as I could. So before wrestling season even started, I was in there and they had open studios. Mm-hmm. And I was just going to open studio, and it was right after school, and I'd stay there until they told me to get out.
That's awesome.
So I was just in there and I was just doing whatever I wanted. I was making what I wanted. I was just having fun.
Well, you talked about this thing earlier when we were talking about baseball. Is like you got to have something outside of that wrestling that was like giving you some peace and just kind of taking your mind off of it. And what a interesting and cool and creative way to be able to do that is working with your hands and being, because it's not like you have to talk and to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like my wrestling coach at the time, Jake Waters, like I got hurt. And then he kind of made the joke, and he's like, wow, same time you lost your yin and your yang. I'm like, wow. That's a that is a connection. Like one thing, it was just kind of like hard and physical, and like it was a grind.
Yeah.
While the other thing was just relaxing, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was a little bit physical, but it wasn't like physical, like wrestling physical. So like at the same time, I lost both the things that calm me down and the thing that like just gets me going.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, that's how I kind of got into ceramics a little bit. Like
And shaping too. I think shaping
yeah.
has a lot to do with wrestling too. You got to shape character. You got to shape your
Yeah.
physical body. And then the process of making something is the outcome of it.
Yeah.
So
And-
you're still in that shaping process yourself.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about like ceramics as well, so you can have something on the wheel that you love, and there's like it's like a 2-3 week period before you get the final result. So you have something on the wheel that you love, that thing might not come out. That thing might get blown up by somebody else's piece. That could be blown up by your own piece. Like you don't know what can happen between when you have it and when it's finished. Like once it's finished, you can still drop it. I've had that happen with some people, and I've seen it personally, and I feel heartbroken for them. I've never done that personally, but like seeing a piece of art that they've created that they love and they drop it, it sucks. Like it's just like all of a sudden you're making a painting and you drop it and it's all smeared and it doesn't look good, and like you're just mad at it and you have to throw it away. Like it won't turn out exactly how you wanted it to. So ceramics is like, in that way, it's crazy, because instead of an instant outcome where drawing could be, I have to wait 2-3 weeks before I even see a little bit of progress. Like I can be like, I have to put a glaze on it to make it food safe and whatnot. So I can be glazing it and it looks like it's a puke green almost.
Right.
And like just a color you don't want it to look. And then you put that thing into kiln and it can come out so many different colors. Like it's not going to be puke green at the end. Like it could be a blue. It could be a very beautiful blue. So it's just kind of like one of those things where I'm sitting there and I'm like with this piece and I feel connected to this piece, but it might not come out. And it's just similar to wrestling, because like I might put everything into this one thing and it might not come out, but your end goal is to have everything come out. So.
Yeah, that's a really neat connection. So speaking of things coming out and not coming out, the way you visualize it and see it and train for and practice for, the state finals of your sophomore year.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think getting into high school a little bit now would be good. So, I go to Lincoln, went to Lincoln, and first match was against Urbandale. So I go out there, first ever varsity match, and I think I get a major in my first ever varsity match against somebody who's older than me, somebody who's pretty good at wrestling. And so that kind of starts my high school career. Like I'm starting my high school career on a like strong lead there. Then we go to Independence, and one of the toughest tournaments in the country in high school. Like it's not up there with some others like Ironman and whatnot, but for what the state of Iowa can go to, like it's a tough tournament. And so we go, and I lose first day, which puts me in the silver bracket. So I can't even place top 8 at this point. I can only get 9th, which sucks. And I lose first round on the second day. And then I go all the way back, and I get 11th. So started off the season real strong with a win, and then get 11th at a tough tournament. Like it's okay, but it's not what I wanted.
Right.
And then throughout the year, I'm just getting better and better and better. And come the Ottumwa tournament, I'm finally ranked. I think I was ranked 12th, so like the bottom. And looking at the bracket, like there's still 2 people in my district alone above me, and you have to get placed top 2 at districts.
Isn't that always fun? You're like, come
Yeah.
on, can I get a break here?
Yeah, so that happens, and go to the Waukee tournament, the Algarrison duels, and I do well, beating some guys, losing some matches that I shouldn't lose, just a little bit banged up nearing winter break. But so I get done with that tournament and turn right around into January, and I'm still a little bit banged up, but feeling healthy overall, and just keep on going. Or not nationally ranked. I was ranked in the state still, and then come CIML time my freshman year, and that might have been one of the worst tournaments I've ever wrestled. I think I was the 4 seed in that bracket I think I was the 5 seed actually, with the guys above me being ranked top 6 in the state, I think. And then one of the guys that I lost to at the point was ranked below me. So I lose first round, and I do not have a good tournament. I think I lose the next round again. I think I went 1 and 3 at the tournament overall. So start of the year off great, and we're closing in on districts, and I'm not doing good. And these guys are all doing really well, but I just wasn't doing good. And come districts, and at this time I'm still with Pablo. He's there at districts because it's close to where a lot of his kids go. Like, we're in Johnston, and I make it to the semis, and I lose to Cade Moss, and I have to wrestle back for true second. Like, that's the goal. Like, I have to make it to state, and Cade wins, so I do have a true second wrestle back, and the guy that loses doesn't go to state. The guy that wins goes to state and gets off clean with it. And I lose that again. I lost to the same guy I lost to at CIML first round. And so that comes, and that stings. I remember very vividly right after that, I just ran off, and I went into a room where I didn't think anybody could find me, and just started crying. And Pablo comes by, and
he's got the tracker on you.
Yeah, I don't know how he found me, but he found me, and he just starts talking to me and calms me down almost instantly. Like, I trust this guy. He trusts me, and he put his faith in me. And that summer, like, something clicked, and I'm going full force ahead. Like, I feel like nothing can stop me almost. And we get to freestyle in Greco State, and I get second at state for freestyle, and I think I got third or fourth in Greco. I didn't qualify in Greco for Fargo, but I go to Fargo that year later in the summer, and I go 2-2. Not a great showing. Made a few mistakes that I can still remember. But so I go on to the sophomore year, which is when I win state, and I start the year off really hot. First duel against Urbandale, they don't send out a guy. I'm ranked, I think I was ranked 6th in the state at the time. Mm-hmm. So, like, people were recognizing what I was doing, and it felt good. And I go to Independence, and in my bracket I think we had 2 or 3 guys ranked over me in the state already in just that one bracket. One of them being in 2A actually. So first day, kind of just run through it, easy day. And I can see the improvement already. Second day comes, and the guy I have first round is really good, and I think he placed at state that year, and then the next guy I have got third at state that year, in the year prior I think as well. So he had done really well. He's ranked above me. He's ranked second, and I beat him. And so I'm in the finals now against somebody from Simley, and that match was crazy. He went upper body, I threw him, and they called us out of bounds, so I got no points, which shouldn't have been the case. But you got to wrestle no matter what.
Yeah, I was just telling this story about my experience where I didn't wrestle after I didn't get the call, just I was stuck on it.
Yeah, so like I just knew I couldn't stick like just beyond that.
Yeah.
And like I've been working all summer on freestyle. I haven't been working on top, but I know that I'm really good top wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going to make my money almost. And I've turned people. I've been able to just wrestle to my ability, and that was great. But then I choose down, and I get out right away. So we're on our feet, 1-0 match, and it's kind of intense because, like, I don't know where this is going to go. Like, this could go in my favor. He could do something, and match is over eventually.
Right.
Match is over real quick sometimes. But nothing happens in the second period. We're still in a 1-0 match, and he chooses the bottom, and I've got to write him out. Like, right out wins, and it's a 2-minute period. So it's not like it's a 30-second ride out in overtime. Like, this is a long ride out. Like, I have to just stick it to him and manage to do it. And that was just a crazy high right there. So I'm feeling real good. I'm wrestling really well. And just going out throughout the year, and I'm just wrestling. I'm doing really good. And come to Ed Winger tournament. First time
Another tough tournament.
Yeah. Second time I wrestled that tournament, I guess, but
Lincoln doesn't wrestle that tournament anymore, though.
Not anymore. They didn't my senior year either. But went to that tournament, and I'm wrestling the number 1 ranked guy in the finals. And I had coaches coming up to me telling me good luck. Like, I'm a sophomore, ranked second in the state, shouldn't necessarily like be at this position.
Yeah, we just want to see you do good. Good luck.
So I have some of these coaches telling me good luck, and the match finally comes, and it's a hard match, and I make so many mistakes. Like, all my mistakes were just huge to this guy, and I lose. I lose very bad, very poorly, and that night I shut off my phone. I didn't get on my phone at all. Like, I didn't talk to anybody. Like, I went up to my room, turned off the lights, just laid there. I couldn't even sleep.
Yeah.
But I knew that, like, something had to change. So, and I knew I'd get my shot at him again before state even. So, go throughout the year, still haven't lost. And then I get to CIMO and going through that bracket, doing real well. And I get to the finals, and I wrestle him again. And I told Roland right before that, and I go, I'm not going to take a shot. Because every single time I took a shot in that previous match, I got taken down. And he just did some weird sit-out thing.
Go around or something.
So I said, I'm not going to take a shot. And I was wrestling that match defensive, like just crazy defensive. And it gets to the second period, it's 0-0. Like, my plan's working right now.
Yeah.
Get to the second period, I choose down, and I get out. I get out pretty quick. So plan's still working. And then we get to the third period, 1-0, and I ride him out for like 40-something seconds. So, like, I'm like, wow, there's a huge shot that I get this. And then into the third period, he takes a shot. I don't expect it because time's winding down, and he takes me down, and he wins 3-1. So all of a sudden, I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm stuck here.
Right.
Like, this shouldn't be
happening.
happening.
Road again with them.
Yeah. So I didn't know what to do. So my coach is like, we're just training. And Joaquin reaches out to my coaches, and they're like, if he wants to come in, like, let him come in here, and like we'll wrestle with him, like get him with some of these other guys. And I go in there and I wrestle with them, and they help me out a lot. And then come district time, win districts. There's not a huge issue with that. And then I'm the second seed of state. Come that first round of state, all of a sudden, all of my like anxiety just comes out at once.
Oh man!
So I'm sitting there, and I'm on the mat, have to wrestle. Like, there's no getting out of it. Yeah,
I was there for the first round.
Yeah, so that guy, I previously teched twice. I think I might have pinned him once, actually. But I've just beating the brakes off of him, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fine. Like, but all of a sudden, halfway through the first period, I have a panic attack almost, and I just can't breathe. Like, I'm just wrestling, hoping that something doesn't go wrong.
You're in the black hole, man. You're just wrestling in the black hole.
Yeah, like I didn't know what was going on, and it felt like I was just so slow. I forgot my technique, but I managed to get a takedown in the first period, and I just, like, it kind of relieved a little bit of pressure, but I still, like, I felt like I couldn't breathe still. So I get off, and he gets an escape, and it's 2-1 going into the second period, and I choose bottom. I get out just how I normally would, and then he chooses down, and if he gets out, like, there's a huge shot that I lose this match because my defense isn't great. I can't do this, and I turn him. I get 2 points, and then he gets out almost instantly, and thankfully my defense, like, just does me well, and I win the match. And right after that match, I'm back in we're in, like, little hallways at Wells.
Yeah, the hallways.
Yeah, weird.
They are kind of, they're like an underground fortress.
Yeah,
for like the Nazis or something.
Yeah, it's weird. But I'm there with my teammates too, because we had Leo and Mamadi qualify that year. So I'm with them, and I can't leave the arena right now. Like, it's not like I can just get up and go. So I'm there, and I'm just like, I cannot breathe. Like, something's going on. I can't breathe.
Yeah. And
the coaches are like, what's going on? Like, nobody has an idea what's going on. And I go home that night, and I'm full panic attack. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just get sick. Like, just crazy sick all of a sudden. And my parents are doing everything they can. And, like, I took a really hot shower, like, with like almost like a seltzer tablet, like, just clears out your sinuses and whatnot. And that helped out for a little bit, but it wasn't like a permanent fix. So the next day is Friday. Like, you have Friday morning, and then you have Friday night. So Friday morning, I wrestle again, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great all of a sudden, and you got your
that first one out of the way.
Yeah, so I feel great all of a sudden, and I tech him. It was seamless. Like, it felt great. And then I know I have to wrestle again that day. Like, you have one more, and then you're in the state finals. One more, and you're one more closer to goal. So I go out there, and that semifinals match was crazy because you're with so many people,
right?
And it's just one of those crazy experiences. And
yeah, you could see it in your face on the interview. Yeah. Just like it's like your eyes are just like you're there, but you're in your own world too.
Yeah, you don't know exactly where you are sometimes. But I win. Like, I in the second period pin him, and like I just trusted my instincts, and I went for a fireman's and pinned him.
Yeah, and
did exactly what my coaches told me to do. So get done with that, go out, have interviews, and then it's straight on to Saturday. There's no more focus on Saturday night now. Like, screw school, screw all this. Like, it's Saturday night now.
Yeah, Saturday night.
So, like, this is what my entire season has led up to. And at this point, the guy that I've lost to twice in this year is out of the tournament. He didn't even place. So I'm feeling great. And I've already outplaced this guy Independence. Like, I beat him at Bob Sharp, the Ankeny tournament. It was a close match, great match, but I just felt something. And so I get prepared for Saturday weigh-in, take the entire day off. I'm barely doing anything. I'm warmed up in the morning just to get kind of things going. And so get things going, and then get things going at night. And I'm feeling good. And I go out there and don't wrestle my best match. Like, first period, I don't think I did very well. And second period, I think I tied it up. And then third period, he was up by 1. I think he was up by 1, and then I got a takedown. And then I put him to his back as well.
Yep.
This entire tournament.
I totally thought you were going to pin him too. Like,
yeah,
I've been underneath you before like that, and it's just you're so strong. You're really strong there.
I think at that moment it was kind of one of those things where, like, didn't know exactly what to do.
Surprised yourself, maybe.
Surprised myself entirely. Like, I think I threw him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, he was trying to step to throw you,
Yeah.
and you countered him, and you put him right on his back, and he had his arms folded up.
Yeah, I remember
Totally thought you were
my
going to get the
parents.
fall. I was like,
yeah, my parents, they thought that I was done.
yeah,
Like, they told me after the fact. But like, just in that split second, and I've only thrown one kid prior this year, and it was in an Independence Finals. I didn't get any points. So like putting him to his back, and that completed me putting everybody in the state tournament to their back.
yeah,
Just like one of those things. Like, I've worked hard at being good at top, and 2 of the times that I put somebody to their back, it wasn't even on top.
right.
So I had that happen, and we had, like, I don't even know how many people come up to me after that. A lot of interviews. But obviously, like, one of the most memorable ones was me saying that all I want is ice cream, and right after that, I got my tub of ice cream. But so, like, felt good and whatnot.
So, what did that feel like? I mean, obviously, like, things are going on in the moment, and it's probably not settling in all the way, but to join that list of, especially being Des Moines Public Schools, like, it'd been a long time since they'd had a state champion and then out of Lincoln as well, to join that list of state champion. What does that feel like for you to even have your picture up on the roundhouse and, see your...
I mean, like, it's just one of those things where I was training so hard for this one moment.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I get this moment, and I didn't know how to feel. Like, it was just one of those crazy, surreal things. Like, coming from a school that isn't like the most wealthy, doesn't have necessarily the best, like, support for coaches and athletes and whatnot as some of these other schools. Like, it was just one of those crazy things to just even be in this moment. So I didn't know how to feel, and I knew I was pretty lucky to even be in that position because of, like, I started going to big game. I was driving an hour and a half on the weekends some days to go and talk to Dylan, even if I wasn't even wrestling some days. Mm-hmm. And I'd go up there and I'd talk to Dylan, and he'd give me advice and, like, thank you, and head back home.
Yeah.
So just some of those days, like, it was just kind of surreal because all of a sudden all my hard work and driving and time and effort and all this just put into it, and I didn't know how to feel. And after the fact, like, I had plenty of time to realize, like, what's going on. So that's kind of when it kicked in a little bit. Like, it was a lot of time afterwards where you don't really know how it should be.
Right.
And, like, everybody after they, like, when they're up in the blood, like, nosebleeds, and they're watching these state finals and they're not in high school yet, like, they're talking about all these celebrations that they're going to do and all this sort of thing. And all I could do was, like, I could point at Roland, and, like,
even before you got your hand raised, you kind of did a little,
like,
did it,
like, it was just, like, because he's been there every single step of the way. Like, he's been there throughout my elementary, middle school, like, all of that. And, like, he's been there since day one. So, like, he's seen all the hard work, and, like, that's all I could do. Like, you talk about taking off your ankle bands and throwing them up in the air and celebrating and all this sort of stuff. But when you're in the moment, like, sometimes there's just disbelief almost, where you don't know what to do. And would I go back and change any of that? No,
because it looked very humble.
I
And
liked
it
what
looked authentic.
I liked what I did, and it was me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not somebody to sit here and showboat and do all this. So it was just like stay to earth almost. Like you're not. It was almost like you're not. I'm not better than the next guy. I'm not necessarily a better human than the guy that I just beat. Like he's still a great human. Like there's no point in that.
Yeah.
So.
You're humble when you win, and you're humble when you lose.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I've gotten to know you, and we have these cool connections between your dad and you know, like and we got to share the mat with each other in jiu-jitsu as well. So, I've being a Lincoln alumni and having that in our history as well. So, I appreciate you coming by today, Mickey, and I wish you the best of luck in your future at Iowa. And I look forward to seeing much more of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.